North London derby at home. 0 league wins in 2026. As of recording this, just 4 points off the relegation spots. A new manager who looked clueless in his first game.
Not much to speak, even in this moment, which is a very particular moment. Let's speak better is. So it's all focus on the daily work in the trainings.
Beyond that, a problem. A problem Thomas Frank couldn't solve. The reason he got the sack. A problem that's now morphed into a crisis for Tottenham Hotspur. Barely 9 months ago, they were winning the UEFA Europa League. By the time that cycle reaches a year, Tottenham could get relegated and be playing in the Champions League. This isn't based solely on transfers. This isn't a problem based on managerial appointments either. It's over a decade's worth of structurally bad decisions repeating themselves year after year. And so to understand exactly what the problem is to understand the man who's championed the cause for years.
So Harry was willing to stay, but he wasn't willing this summer to sign a new contract. He didn't say that to me that he wanted to leave. He didn't say that he would never sign a new contract.
Daniel Levy, chairman of the Tottenham board before he stepped down at the start of the current season. For 24 years, he acted in the role of chairman. He oversaw the construction of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, an architectural beauty. Not just one of the best in the Premier League, but it's right up there with being one of the best in Europe as well. A stadium rebuild that cost over £1 billion to complete. Under Daniel Levy, Spurs had identity. The Nearly Men. Under Mauricio Pochettino in 2015-16 and 2016-17, they built teams that fought in back-to-back seasons for the league title, with the fights extending until the final few days of the season. By 2018, Spurs were beating Real Madrid at Wembley. By 2019, they'd reached the final of the UEFA Champions League, and so it felt like in the moment, Spurs were on the right path. All they needed was that combination of consistency and luck to get over the line, until Levy decided to abandon the project. His patience had run thin. It's what led to the sacking of Pochettino in 2020. It was at this exact moment that the tide shifted for Spurs. Everything changed. Daniel Levy was hell-bent on trying to win trophies without really understanding the process behind the idea, and just weeks later, the decline officially kicked off. Levy's new system wasn't to build, it was to find a manager who could instantly come to the club and win. They appointed Jose Mourinho after Pochettino left, one of the most successful managers in the world. He'd won trophies everywhere he'd coached, including at Chelsea and Manchester United in the Premier League. Mourinho came in and tried to make Spurs winners, tried to make them compete. But pretty soon, the friction between Mourinho and the board became too obvious to ignore. By December 2020, he had Spurs briefly at the top of the table. Then, the decline started. The results weren't exactly great, but by the end of January the following year, Mourinho had taken Spurs to the final of the Carabao Cup, with a chance to end a trophy drought that had been 13 years long at the time. Daniel Levy and Tottenham sacked him, replaced him with Ryan Mason just days leading up to the final. It made no sense. It caused an uproar among the fans. But what they didn't know was that this would be the new model of the club. Over the next 5 seasons, Spurs had 8 different managers at the club. Each of them suffered the same fate, from the likes of Nuno Espirito Santo to Antonio Conte, Ange Postecoglou, then Thomas Frank. Each one had the same idea about Spurs.
I don't have still a deep feeling with Tottenham.
This is the first time in my career to see a situation like this.
No, I think the last 48 hours has revealed to me the foundations are fairly fragile, mate. So
Porto, Chelsea, Inter, Real Madrid, Manchester United, all the clubs, I feel connection.
The Houston here don't play for something important.
outside, inside, everywhere. It's been an interesting exercise. I probably misread the situation as to what I think is important in your endeavour to become a winning team.
Tottenham story is this: 20 years that there is the owner and never won something. But why? Only for the fault is only for the club or for every manager that stay here? I have seen the manager that...
Daniel Levy and Spurs wanted to win without truly understanding how to. They never fully backed projects, but the most painful would have been with Ange Postecoglou. In his first season, Big Ange finished 5th with Spurs, just missed out on the top 4 by 2 points. Then he dropped a promise he'd stunningly go on to fulfill. In his second season, he did exactly what the Spurs board wanted, prioritized winning a trophy above everything else. Yes, the league form deteriorated to a dismal 17th, but Spurs made it all the way to the final in Bilbao, where under Ange, they beat Manchester United to win a first European trophy and a first major title since 2008. The result of making history with Spurs? Ange was sacked just days later. It made no sense. He'd done everything he was supposed to do, and yet he still got the sack, and that's when the Tottenham idea became very clear. It wasn't now that they wanted to prioritize winning trophies, it was the false idea that they had.
You know, when you walk into Tottenham, what you see everywhere is to dare is to do. It's everywhere. And yet their actions are almost the antithesis of that. It's a real curious in terms of understanding what are they trying to build? You know, what are they? Is it, there's obviously, they've built an unbelievable stadium, unbelievable training facilities. But when you look at the expenditure, particularly in their wages structure, they're not a big
The
club.
false persona that they are a big club because of the near successes in recent years, but the truth is, Spurs are miles off it. It's shown in the recruitment policy over the years. Quite got a decent replacement. It's been the Tottenham idea in the transfer market ever since. They've signed promising players. They keep signing potential, whereas to compete for major honors in the league, they need proven quality. Son Heung-min left and they never got a replacement. The likes of James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski have been out with long-term injuries this season, still no replacements. There have been makeshift solutions in recent seasons, but no real long-term plan. So taking all of this into account, could Spurs actually get relegated? The answer? Yes. It could happen. As bad as it was last season at this point, in the previous campaign, the form was still relatively good. It was when Spurs started progressing deep into the knockout phase of the Europa League that they chose to prioritize the Europa League over the Premier League form. It's the penultimate day of February as of recording this, 11 games left to play between now and the end of the season. Spurs qualified for the Champions League round of 16, but there's no guarantee that they'll make it as far as they did in the Champions League as they did in the Europa League last season. In the eventuality that they get knocked out, it'll mean all that's left to play for is the league. It gets even worse when you realize that the teams around them are all starting to pick form. West Ham in 18th have just 1 defeat in their last 5. Nottingham Forest sit just 2 points behind Spurs in 17th. One wrong game week where results don't go their way, and Spurs could actually be in the relegation zone. The truth is, the problem with Spurs doesn't just come down to results or demanding to play a specific brand of football. It's the fact that the board has chosen to pursue the illusion of being a big club rather than realizing it on the pitch. They have a big stadium. The revenue for match days and even outside football is more than decent. They rank 9th according to Forbes as the most valuable team in the world, but Igor Tudor came in and suffered a damaging defeat in his first game as Spurs manager. It's not just the scoreline, it's how they looked on the afternoon. That they scored was down to an Arsenal error from Declan Rice. Spurs struggled to create. Xavi Simons, who is supposed to be the most creative player at the clubs, was dispossessed 7 times against Arsenal. No player has been dispossessed more times in a single Premier League match this season. That performance almost summed up the club. No footballing identity. From wingbacks under Antonio Conte and Nuno Espirito Santo to a back 4 under Mourinho, pure attacking football under Ange Postecoglou to trying to find a balance in between with Thomas Frank. Nothing has worked. The one that did work, they got rid of. But maybe this is exactly what Tottenham needs. A drop so close to the bottom that it almost resets the identity of the club and makes the hierarchy focus on the football instead. They've got 11 games between now and the end of the season to save their status in the Premier League. The one thing that is certain now is that every game will feel like a fun. Can Tottenham actually beat the drop this season? Or is there a lack of quality in the team that will ultimately take them down to the championship next season? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to WinSport for more videos like this.